We're going to do a quick walkthrough of some of the features that you're going to need in Stellarium. And when you open it up, it will probably take up your entire screen, which you do not probably want to do because you're going to be flipping back and forth between your lab and completing Stellarium. So if you will pull your cursor down to the very bottom, you'll see a menu pop up. And I've already done this because I had to do it to be able to record this, but there's a box with some arrows pointing out of it. And if you just click on that, it will take it out of full screen mode. Okay, so you're looking for the rectangle with the arrows. That'll pull you out of full screen mode. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to put ourselves in Murfreesboro. So we're going to pull the cursor over to the left. And we're going to, so we're pulling the cursor over here. The first item is the location window. So that's what I want. I'm close, but I'm not quite in Murfreesboro. So I'm going to go into the search box right here and type in Murfreesboro. And that should come up in the list, and I'll select it. You'll notice there's also a named city here. You don't want to type in there. You want to type in the search box right here. And then when you click on that, that should show your red arrow over here somewhere Tennessee-ish looking, so it should be in the right spot. Once you're good with that, you can X out of it in the upper right-hand corner. The next thing we want to do is we want to change our date time window. And so what we're going to do is we want to change this to be 3:30. Whoops. You can either use the scroll bar or the up and down arrows to get to the date you want, or you can also just highlight it and change it to what you want. But as the lab tells you, it's going to have you change your date to be March 30th, 2020. So it goes year, month, day. And we want to do it at 8 p.m. So this is a 24-hour clock. So in order to make it at 8 p.m., we have to change this first number to be 20. That's our hour. Not doing quite what I want, so I'm going to use the arrows. So 20, and then I want to take this down to 0. You can see the sky moving by as we do that. And you don't worry about the seconds because the seconds are going to count by anyway. There's no way to get those to stop. So, but once we're set up here, you should have 2020, 3:30 for March 30th, 2020, and then you want the 20th hour, which would take us to 8 p.m. Okay, now the first thing it's going to ask you to do is to face south, which it should come up facing south, but if it doesn't, you can use your arrow keys to have you move around a little bit. And you can also use your up-down arrow to kind of look at the sky just a little bit more. That might be helpful as well. Again, I'm just using the up and down arrows to change back and forth there. And then I want to turn on constellation lines and constellation labels. So to do that, I'm going to go down here to the bottom menu, and I'm going to turn on the first two items. I'm going to turn on constellation lines, in which case you should see the lines show up for the constellation. And then I'm going to click on constellation labels so that each constellation is labeled. Okay, the lab is going to ask you to select which constellations you see. Okay, so you're just going to take a look, click those through, and then we'll keep going. So if you want to hit pause for a minute, you can go do that, or if you just want to keep watching and then go back and do it all at once, whatever works best for you. The next thing we're going to do is we want to mimic what we would see in a telescope. Since we can't look through the telescopes here, we're going to mimic in Stellarium what that would look like. So the first thing the telescope portion of the lab asks you to do is to find the Andromeda galaxy. And so you're going to use Control F, which is the search function. If you're on a Mac, it's Command F, but if you're on a PC, it's Control F. It brings up the search window. You can also find this by the menu over here on the left. There's a search window. You can pull it up that way if you can't figure out what keystroke brings that up for you. And then I'm just going to type in Andromeda Galaxy and then hit search. And it'll go find it and highlight it. Now, this is what it looks like to the naked eye, but we want to look at it like it would look through a telescope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my control keys. You could also, if you have a mouse attached, you can also use the scroll wheel on the mouse. But I'm going to use the control up arrow to zoom in. And what I want you to notice here at the bottom of the screen, there's an FOV, that stands for field of view. And as we scroll in, that number gets smaller, right? Because we're looking at a smaller and smaller piece of the sky. And I want to take it to where it's around maybe somewhere between 2.5 and 3, where we can kind of see the whole thing. And then the lab will ask you to pick which of the pictures you're looking at. So, and then we're going to do that process for 2 other deep space items, and you're going to pick the picture that looks the most like it. So we'll change the field of view for those other 2, but the lab instructions tell you what to take it to. So I think that should be pretty much everything you need to get started for doing your Stellarium night lab. And please let me know if you have any questions.